welcome to the Oceanic Pro League. It's a pleasure to have your company. My name is Michael Hingers Hing, and this is day 2 of week 9, which means we are deep into Split 2, meaning every single match is make or break for teams trying to make the finals or avoid relegation. So let's get to it. I'm joined on the analyst desk by 2 of the biggest brains in Oceania. No, the world. It's Brento Razmahabad and Indiana Fruskeren Black. How are you both? You doing well?
Very excited to be on this desk. Quite an eclectic group we got here.
By eclectic, do you mean this is... have we assembled the most diverse League of Legends analyst desk in the history of League of Legends, potentially?
The affirmative action desk. We nailed it, boys.
What do we got? We've got a good mix here. Roll them dice. Not a single straight white man on this panel. Anyway, look. Are you doing well? Are you excited for the show? Yes?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Now we've got 2 really exciting games. We've got Direwolves versus Hellions and then Chiefs versus Sin. And I feel like there's kind of this sneaky suspicion where people look at these matches and they don't think they matter. But we're coming into playoffs and like you said, every game counts and it's a true grind.
Exactly. So let's take a look at where things stand right now as we bring up the standings. Legacy are at top after winning yesterday. Direwolves coming in second. Chiefs, Avant-Garde round out the top 4. Abyss Esports there as well. Tainted Minds, and then relegation zone is Sin, who are playing tonight. And Hellions also searching for that sweet first win, like a parent at a shopping center who's lost their child. They're just still searching. Yeah, but let us... that means tonight we'll be looking at these teams playing as we bring up the schedule. Legacy versus... I mean, that was yesterday, rather. 2-0, Avant and Tainted Minds 1-2. And then tonight, Direwolves versus Hellions, followed by match 2 will be Sin versus Chiefs. Let's start with our first match of the evening. The second place Direwolves are looking to try and make a run towards first place by fending off the Hellions, who are yet... let's go through their lineup right now. Chippies in the top lane, Sybil in jungle, Fantix mid lane, Raze AD carry, and Regrets in support. And they'll be fending off the Hellions. Let's take a look at their team right now. Ryu in the top lane, Impaired in the jungle, Bomb mid lane, Frey is playing AD carry, and Luna in support. Let me start with you, Raz. What do these games mean for these guys?
It means quite a bit, specifically for Direwolves, it means quite a bit because, of course, they are in contention, of course, for first place. So if they're able to win here and go into the next week, which is up against Legacy, then, of course, that means that whether they win or not, they have to win in a 2-0. Then they get a tiebreaker for first place there.
And that's the important thing, is emphasizing the idea that Direwolves have to win here, but then also 2-0 Legacy next week if they want to go for that first place run. So
and that will give them an easier run in the finals if they set that first place run. For Hellions, what does this mean? That they're searching for this first win of the season. Does this kind of just, is it a growth exercise for them?
Well, effectively, Hellions right now are trying to make sure that they're not a statistic, you know, being one of those teams to actually not win a series in the OPL. But more important than that, it's making sure that they're going into the promotion tournament, relegation tournament, whatever you want to call it, with their head held high and looking for development and growth. So they're still trying to fit together, you know, they can't quite find the magical formula. Do we need like 3 Baron steals a game? Do we need like a 10K gold lead at 10 minutes? They're working with the assets, but it's now just kind of finding that magic secret stuff formula.
See, if they go 0 wins in the whole thing, is there a nudie run clause? They've got a, you know, you might know this in Australia if you play pool and you get...
Do I look Australian?
Yeah,
I'm literally on a desk with Canadian Americans.
I'm introducing you to some culture, right? In Australia, when you're playing pool, right, and you sink no balls for a thing, at the end of the game, you've got to do a nudie run around the table. Is that what we're looking for? I mean, look, you know, you're the experts.
Getting educated here.
You know the rules better than I do. I don't know.
Again, I think it's just trying not to be a statistic right now that for future OPL, hey, you remember the Hellions didn't win?
You brought up win conditions before, right? Talking about Baron steals. You're also talking about the jungle backstage. I mean, do you think this is going to be a perfect game needed to be played by Impaired tonight for the Hellions?
Yeah, exactly. So then the question becomes, you know, if the Hellions do win, what does that actually look like? Because that's where you're trying to weight the team strengths. It's this idea that it's kind of all for me, all in on Impaired. Not that, again, we say this every single week. The Hellions have great individual mechanics in their 1v1, 2v2 lanes, however you want to break it down. But the thing is they are very reliant on Impaired. He has to play perfectly. He is not allowed any mistakes because he works around... His lanes work around him. He creates and facilitates all of the plays for them. So my eyes are on Impaired, especially matching up against Sybil.
Sure.
And that's, for me, like, I agree with you. He doesn't have to make a mistake. And that's why I actually really want to focus on Bomb, because Bomb has been playing really well. And they've kind of, like, in the later portions of the week have been prioritizing their solo lanes or just basically saying, hey, individually we will play really well. We'll put it on us. Like Bomb will play LeBlanc, Bomb will play Rise, and he'll roam out and he'll get those kills. And Impaired will try and play perfectly. But like every other team, and this is like a big point, every other team, everybody makes mistakes, right? Sybil makes mistakes. Spooks makes mistakes. Every single person makes mistakes. And they can kind of like at least carry that up. But the problem with this team is that they just have no like semblance of teamwork. If they can, I honestly believe that Bomb plays really well. Every single individual on that team plays well. They just need to find a way to bring it together, and they actually have potential of being, let's say, as crazy as it sounds, like a top 4 team, right? I think that they have. Okay, now you're looking at me like that. I look crazy because we see their play and they play poorly, but they have the individual skill. They just need to actually speak to each other. I say it every week, but it's the same truth.
Okay. So let's kind of break down these individual points that we brought up. So this idea that I still feel that Impaired has to play flawlessly because again, he's the primary facilitator. If he doesn't go off, nothing will happen on the Hellions, whether that be communication problems. Primarily, I think it's the fact that Bomb never really leaves his lane. Again, they're good in the lane phase. It's getting them out of the lane phase in that 5v5. On the other side, if we look at the likes of Sybil, like Sybil is allowed to make mistakes. In fact, he'll sometimes sit and waste so much time not farming his jungle because he's sitting and he's camping in a bush. But the thing is, it's then different how they're using their junglers. So if Impaired is the primary facilitator for Direwolves, I think it's that strong solo lane that, Chippies is creating this pressure point, or Fantix is creating this pressure point, or Raze and Regret are going off. And Sybil just has to sit and wait for the counter gank. So again, it's like Impaired, he leads it, whereas the solo laners and Sybil follows on the Direwolves.
And that's something that I like to even like having a discussion about Hellions is amazing because like at the very beginning of the week, even in the mid portion of the split, they
I
just
can
like
tell you're passionate about it.
because like Bomb would just sit in lane, right? It would be really weird for him to just like move an inch out of the mid lane, and he would just be the wave clear bot. But like as the week's gone by, and now we're like cutting down into the end of the split. We see like a completely different identity, and maybe it's just them throwing everything at a wall, and seeing what sticks. I nailed it.
I feel like at this point they're just like dumping it downfield and trying to see if it actually catches.
Yeah, but like it shows that there are so many times where Bomb just gets like 5 kills or like 3, like one of the lanes will just snowball. Or an Impaired will just like, he'll get that Baron steal, you get another Baron steal, and you'll see, hey, you know what, this team, any other team would win off this. And they, as a team, they can never actually convert it off into anything. So that's why I do believe they can get there. They just need to take the first step.
Raz, can I also ask, Direwolves confirmed this week that they've got a new coach in Destiny. Do you have any thoughts on if that's going to impact their play tonight?
We'll see. I do like Destiny. I do think that like when he was on Avant, he was like, in my opinion, he was the brain of Avant. Now that he isn't there, that team has mechanics, but probably like not some smart plays there. But that's a discussion for another day. Then.
So let's get to it. Predictions tonight. What are we thinking, Frosco? Let's go with you first.
I'm going to give it to the Direwolves. They are definitely the heavy favorites here, and simply because they have more plays in their playbook, they can work together as a team, and they're stronger 1v1. I think pound for pound in terms of talent across the roster.
It's a 2-0.
Yes.
And Raz.
I echo the point. I want to see how they win now, right? Because they should be able to clean this out.
So you're both going for a 2-0 win for the Direwolves tonight. Not even a single game. Not even a single map being taken by Hellions tonight.
It would be a miracle if Hellions take it.
Well, as we know, these teams tonight are fighting for, Direwolves are fighting for a place in the OPL Split 2 finals, which is in Brisbane in Australia. On August 13, tickets are available right now. You'll also, if you're not in Brisbane, you can see it at various Hoyt cinemas around, where you can buy tickets from the website, which is on your screen right now. That is enough from us. Let us hand it over right now to the two gentlemen who are going to take us through the casting desk. It's Ruggy and Rusty.
Thank you so much, Hingers. I think the desk said it the best. It's looking grim for poor old Hellions down at the bottom of the table. So I want to talk a little bit about Direwolves. If, of course, a blue shell doesn't happen here, they've got a match against Legacy next week, which could potentially net them that #1 seed and the OPL Legend title.
Yeah, so not only do they have to win here, they have to 2-0 Legacy the week afterwards. So, yeah, there's a lot to prove for the Direwolves. This is the first step in proving that fact, and it's not going to be an easy feat. Hellions are still 5 strong individual players, but they are just consistently the Hail Mary pass.
That's exactly right. Here as we get straight into the bans, LeBlanc and Vladimir taken off the table. That LeBlanc definitely aimed at Bomb here.
you know what, I'm going to go a little bit further.
Yep.
The whole time they were talking on the analyst desk, I was just thinking of a Hail Mary, but the way that Hellions play, it's much like NFL, right? Where you get the first down. So they get like 3 first downs in a row, they cover about 30 meters, and then they run 50 meters back to throw the Hail Mary. That's actually how they play League of Legends at the moment.
It's hilarious to think of, but it's a spot-on analogy there, because that seems what happens every time they get an advantage. All of a sudden, they just don't know what to do with it, and then before you know it, the other team is back in control of the map. But we see Rise, Nidalee, Jhin, and Aurelia being banned away from each respective team here. So a lot of AP champions on the side of Direwolves and getting away that Jhin.
Yeah.
Aurelia, of course, for Chippies.
So 3 targeted bans again. Blue side of the map, the Direwolves are able to focus who they would like. Rise is a double-up ban for Bomb and Ryu. Impaired's not going to get Nidalee, which is not seen very often, yet it is still one of Impaired's best champions by far.
If you want to minimize any risk of upset, really take no chances here, and that seems to be what the Direwolves are going with as they lock in that very strong Sivir. Going to have a lot of movement speed here. See if Hellions maybe answer with the Karma to kind of counter that one.
Yeah, you'd expect the Karma from Luna, especially with the Jhin being taken off the board. I agree with the Sivir as a high priority choice, but there's the Ashe available. There's the Lucian if Frey really wants to go for it. The Karma should be the first step, perhaps the Rek'Sai. I think that Impaired's actually got a pretty mean Gragas as well. And so there's not too much of a priority towards that role. There's also the option of a champion for Ryu because the Trundle is standing.
Great deal of champions available to them. So Hellions go with hovering that Karma right now. Wouldn't be surprised to see that locked in for Luna. Does a great job in those AP-esque supports. Bard, Karma, maybe even the Soraka here and there, but definitely needed against the engage that Sivir offers.
Yeah, definitely. It counteracts everything. The Rek'Sai, of course, heavy vision control champion. Be surprised to see that. Yeah, they just swapped so that Impaired didn't have to trade afterwards.
Makes sense. Looking in that Rek'Sai, so #1 jungler for a lot of people, for a lot of teams as well. Rek'Sai just offering so much. The Tremor Sense is such an asset to behold. That flash knockup can never be underestimated. We saw it nearly do wonders for Abyss last night. Unfortunately, that swing was just a little bit too weak.
Yeah, it just didn't get across. The team composition was a little bit lost, honestly, from Abyss. It was close, but it wasn't enough. This time around, however, Hellions have got 2 of the 5. 2 of the stronger part of that 5 anyway.
Definitely.
They can round their team composition out with a bit of crowd control, maybe an extra tank, and then just damage.
We'll see what Direwolves decide to answer here. They've got the Sivir, which kind of can be slotted in to any composition. They've got the Gragas available. Braum, we've seen do wonders in that support role recently, really just shutting down any incoming damage. And there is a lock-in, followed by the Gragas. No surprises here.
I mean, we said Impaired had the Gragas. Same thing goes for Sybil. The Elise is the only other champion that we're not going to be seeing out of these 2. Very strong champion in its own right. Sybil seems to be his best when actually playing that Elise, but opts towards the Gragas.
A lot of frontline here with the Braum and the Gragas being locked in. Going to be very difficult for Hellions, whoever they end up choosing to really get on top of that Sivir. So much mobility in one champion should not be allowed.
Yeah, and it's a bit of engage, bit of disengage across the board through all 3 of those champions. All they are missing is Fantix and his trump card mid lane choice.
Hellions will have the potential to counteract that one with that last pick, but see what they go for here. 15 seconds on the clock, hovering the Ezreal. Seen Frey play a mean Ezreal in the past. Of course, Gangplank as well. I haven't seen too much Gangplank. Kind of fell out of favor a little bit here and there, especially with the Trinity Force getting changed a bit.
Yeah, fell out, but also completely rose in popularity immediately afterwards. Because they started playing Shen in the top lane. Gangplank is more of a split-pushing top lane champion now than opposed to the crit-heavy mid lane. So the fact that they locked this one in means that it should be Ryu locking it down. It may well be the mid lane, but it's not as often seen.
Always interesting to see just small little adjustments here and there completely change a champion's playstyle, allowing them to kind of open up new and interesting possibilities. So looking forward to seeing Ray's Gangplank.
Well, I mean, small adjustments. There's been a lot of speculation about Hellions and their roster placement in general, so we'll see if they actually prove the rumors to be true.
Like you said, be interesting to see nonetheless. Let's see what Direwolves do lock in for their last 2 champions. Saw it last night. Now finally reaching his true potential in the OPL. Let's see if Chippies, if he locks that one in, can really live up to the task that Tally has left behind. But we know that Fantix is going to get himself that Azir. Very, very strong mid laner.
Yeah, Fantix still had the options of the Azir and the Victor respectively. Wasn't a lot of champions banned away from him. Not an often seen thing. However, the Jhin was actually banned away from Fantix for what
Funnily
it's
enough.
worth. Yeah. And the Chippies are, we're actually going to be seeing a massive increase in Gnar popularity.
Yeah, huge.
I mean, it usually denies the Trundle as an option, but we already said it's most likely going to be the Gangplank up there.
Yep.
So Chippies was able to pick into it accordingly.
I guess they're just maybe covering all bases in case Bomb might run the trump card Gangplank mid, so just make sure that Trundle can't be thrown into the work. So let's see how Chippy's Gnar does do. It's always great watching those teleport Gnars into the wall, and an absolute treat when it's done correctly. But Hellions, they're hovering the Zed. See if they go for it in the end. Oh, the Talia actually being locked in here.
Yeah, change
Very
over
cool.
to the wall-based champion as well. Now we have 2 wallers in the middle lane. Or top lane. We actually have seen the EULCS running a fair bit of Talia top. That's an unusual thing, but let's just not say it's going to happen till it does. No, but the other thing that's definitely looking like it's going to happen with 20-odd seconds until it's confirmed is the Hellions roster right now.
There you go. Could potentially be seeing Bomb actually playing the AD carry position and Frey in the mid lane. So switching it up for week 8, week 9 or week 8?
9.
9, yep, my mistake. Week 9 here, so let's see if it pays dividends for them. They have the potential to do a mass upset onto the Direwolves and really ruin their #1 spot chance. And you mentioned a little bit earlier to me that Fortnite did something similar a while ago, so potentially bad things can track here.
Yeah, there's a couple of historical throwbacks here. Firstly, we look at the Hellions roster and we can say that Frey was a mid laner before he became an AD carry for the team of the Hellions. Back when he was on Immunity, I believe it was, he actually played a very strong mid lane, kept them out of relegations and got them back into the OPL, which eventually became the Hellions roster. So has played mid lane for this team on a technicality and definitely has the capabilities to fulfill that role, but no idea what Bomb's going to be like.
Well, Bomb is playing Ezreal, a very standard champion, but Italia definitely a lot more technical skill required to do that. So let's see if Frey leads up to it. Remember, guys, get onto Twitter, hashtag DWWin if you want to see these guys have a shot at first spot, or hashtag Hellions win, HLN win if you want the blue shell to catch up and ruin the Direwolves' dreams. And if you do, you're a very cruel person.
Oh, yeah, you know, to each their own. Sometimes people like to see the underdogs win, and Hellions are indefinitely considered an underdog till further notice. So it's not going to be an easy feat for them to achieve any victories in this series. Both analysts predicted a 2-0 victory for the Direwolves, and that's unsurprising to say the least.
We are jumping into game #1 of Direwolves versus Hellions, your first series of the match. And there we go, Bomb on Ezreal, Frey on Talia. Things are already getting interesting, Rusty. Look at that. Got the Keystone Masteries up. Nicely in order too, so that's good. We're going to have to look around for those ones, but looks like Hellions brute forcing their way in. Talia just hanging around the mid lane, where of course Direwolves will be doing the same on the opposite side of the map.
Yeah, Frey actually placing that deep ward in the middle lane to spot them, as you do because you want to group with your team when they're placing lane swap vision, which is exactly what they're looking for now. I guess the first big question is, does Ryu want the lane swap? Or does he want the standard lanes against the Gnar? Who will be giving it to him. Any ranged advantage that you have against the Gangplank means the kegs are harder to hit firstly, and that you can hit him because he's melee if he ever wants to last hit himself. So it's a difficult matchup to kick things off, but you start to scale quite heavily on that GP.
Will be spotted out here as Luna and Bomb making their way around. But interestingly enough, before we get too deep in the action, what do Hellions really have to gain here by switching up Luna and Bomb? Because like you said, it's Frey, he's played, Frey and Bomb rather. Frey, he's played a bit of mid lane in the past, but we're not too sure about Bomb here. Is that just because AD carry seems to be more utility-based role where mid lane's still that hard carry?
I've always thought Frey was a better mid laner than AD carry, even historically. So I'm not going to say it's a big shock to see them swap roles. Bomb, not sure what he's going to be able to offer, but AD is a pretty simple transition from mid lane when you think about the last hitting that's involved, the mechanics that are there, except that you add 2 extra people to your lane. And that's where things start to get a little bit tricky. Regret and Raze have the experience advantage. They're already proving that.
Yeah, Luna just walks in, takes both procs of the Boomerang and a Winter's Bite on top of that. So Ezreal, he's been a mid laner in the past, so I'm sure Bomb has had his hand at that champion once or twice, so shouldn't be too mysterious to him here, but already Luna forced to chug a lot of health potions. See how they do.
I mean, ultimately, I think the decision is just to try and make Hellions as strong as they possibly can. Give themselves a couple of weeks as a buffer before their relegation matches, which are inevitable. Set themselves up as best they can to succeed throughout that. Once again, they've actually already picked up the Talia as a mid lane choice. Frey shows that he's not shying away from the meta.
Still a very relatively new champion as well, so let's see if Hellions have put in the time, especially Frey, to kind of master the Stone Weaver in the mid and really unlock her true potential, where of course Fantix on Azir, we know what Azir is capable of and just what he can do. It's going to be a rough matchup already.
It's a little bit tough. Playing against the Azirs, though, they have a lot of damage to you. Sibyl's here.
I want to go for the flash, goes in first blood to Sybil. Very well played by Direwolves already.
That was super well executed, actually, by Sybil through the minion wave to be able to bop Frey. No way for him to react. That was nearly an immediate flash to cover the distance. Again, super mechanically impressive from Sybil there. Locks down an easy first kill, and that's already Fantix starting to snowball. And Sybil, a momentum-based jungler who can take everything from you. Impaired actually gets it.
He gets it with the snipe. Very beautiful. That smite left it on 3 HP. Sybil went from a beautiful technical play to one of the easiest things in the game, and he messes it up.
So many people mess up their smites. It's unfortunate. Gragas actually has quite unpredictable damage values on his Q. So when you're thinking about the smite Q combo, do you ever really know exactly how much you're going to do? Because it changes from half damage to full damage over time. He might have just leveled up to 4 after the kill as well. Was expecting to do more than he did. It was only 3 health, so you can't really say too much about it.
Fantix still has both summoners up in the mid lane, so Impaired not going to get anything out of this one. Frey down to about half health. Might take some poke on the return, but he's able to get out of range. Bonks him back in. Not too much trouble for Fantix to deal with, though.
Actually is the biggest bonk spell ever. Sybil now top lane as well. They're putting a lot of damage, but no flash means this is hard.
Just goes in, gets the barrel down, which should allow Chippies to get another proc. He's going to turn in Mega. Get himself a little bit of health and stats. You can see Impaired making his way up to the top as well. Should Sybil decide to stay around, which he is.
Yeah, so it's actually going to help clear this wave to get Chippies back to base, which is why he's up here. Ryu actually had a fair bit of control of this wave, but he goes back and times it decently well to get the teleport in to secure minions, but he doesn't have the Sheen. So that's actually really good timing for the Gnar relative to the Gangplank.
Yep, just bought himself the Cull and the Sapphire Crystal here, so not going to have that massive damage spike that the Gangplanks love so much. Just getting in that huge damage queue.
Yeah.
Down in the bot lane, though, we just see these guys trading blows. Raze, sitting about half health, does have a potion ticking. And a few tug on the brace stack should get him up and healthy in no time, though.
Yeah, neither 2v2 lane going back to base yet. They want to work towards having that BF sword. They wouldn't be far away when you think about the income that they'd have now. About a wave or two probably off wanting to buy. Of course, 40 CS I think is the average now. Will get you a BF sword because they reduced the price of it down to 1300. But you want a pink ward with it and or a dagger depending on how the lane's going.
Back in the mid, Fantix might be in trouble. He shuffles his way out of there. Might have to burn a summoner. Here's Frey. Forces that one out. Flashes the bomb. Not going to be in trouble, but Ezreal not going for the BF. Frey should be going for his tier and something else.
Ezreal wants tier and Sheen ideally as a first buy, so you're looking at like the 70 CS mark opposed to the 40.
Forced to stay a little bit longer here, but ensures that Raze also has to stay without risk of getting behind. Sybil's here in the mid, just to ensure that no funny business is happening around Fantix, who has hit level 6, has the wall available, so does Frey, but remember it's a non-combat spell, doesn't do any damage.
Yeah, and unfortunately Azir is a combat spell and does do it. So slight edge, but a lot of damage to be seen from both of these mid laners, and you'd say jungle influence could dictate the outcome. Both of them are actually quite heavily looking towards that middle lane to try and start something up.
Remember, Fantix doesn't have Flash, but Frey has both of his summoners available, also that Ignite, so has the potential to really dish out damage and turn around a gank if it goes a little bit astray for Direwolves here, but they're sitting on their 600 gold lead. We've seen Sybil up in the top lane. Neither of the junglers really set their sights down on this bot, so maybe just thinking that Raze can handle it on his own. Hey, he gets it that time. Gets it that time, Sybil.
Picks up one of them, unfortunately. Losing a blue buff was a little bit more unfortunate for Gragas when you actually put it in perspective, but speaking of,
this is going to allow Fantix to get himself a blue in the mid lane. Will be nice for poking out Frey, who still has a while off his, as it was taken quite far into that first blue rotation.
Yeah, there's about a minute until it's available. As you can see the grey egg timer there.
Chippy though, with Sybil. Very aggressive
He's
positioning
Mega
here. Does have the Mega, goes in, flash, double stun, impaired, gets knocked back by the barrel. Here comes Rai, looking to trade for one, gets it, but Fantix is here, gets another one. Looking to Rai, he's got double buffs now. Trying to get his way out, flashes. Not going to get anything more, but Direwolves, they wanted that red buff fight and they got it.
Yeah, they get the fight that they were looking for. Impaired and Freya dead. And Ryu has to be quite respectful and flash away to safety, so another summoner burnt by him. Chippies has the teleport advantage as well, so he'll come back to lane perfectly fine. Another big move from the Direwolves, and namely through Fantix. He may have been a little bit late to the fight, but he was actually right on time.
Well, that's the thing. He's got his ultimate. Like you said earlier, it's a combat summoner's combat ultimate. So he's got that raw damage output that Frey was really lacking. You saw how quickly he died. He was able to return one onto Sybil, but that's basically Sybil's job at this stage, to just facilitate his carries to get ahead.
Yeah, he absolutely did his part to kick the fight off, work with that Mega Gnar timing. So Chippies actually hits the spell combo that he was looking for, with both Frey and Impaired having their flashes up. Someone's made a mistake there.
Great job by Direwolves, putting on the aggression, putting on the pressure early, getting themselves about 1,000 and change in the lead here. How can Hellions answer? We give them credit for their laning, but when their laning falls behind, it's kind of on them to really start making some proactive plays. We see Luna in the river, just should be taking out this pink ward Sybil. Not going to want a bar of it for now. Takes the crab and gets out.
Yeah, not having his mid laner nearby means that Sybil will respect the Karma. Whilst you were looking at those two saying, why is he not going on it? You could see the Talia nearby. You could not see the Azir. So has to respect. Again, control pretty much of the map still assumed by Direwolves around the Infernal Drake, which is something they should be looking towards, especially if this happens and Frey's about to make the play.
Or not. Wait, he's going for it. There's got the wall available. Well, then it's used at Chippy's getting further and further away.
They can't make their mind up.
Nope.
The thing is, the second they go on top lane, the play can be made on the Drake.
Yeah.
But now, Sybil's even on the top side of the map, so if they did it, there was a chance of a counter gank, but it was timed well. I'm surprised they didn't go for it.
It's like Raz said on the desk, these guys are just, one of their main things is that lack of communication, and of course, remember, they got a different mid laner playing for them, albeit it's on the same team, but could still be a little bit shaky in these areas, as, like you said, but we do have the God vision, can see everything, knew that it could have been a successful game.
It's like the old saying goes, you know, give them an inch, they'll probably just take an inch. Not how it goes.
Oh, right in the top. He might be in trouble here. Stun onto him. A double stun at Chippies. Picks that one up with help from Sybil. He's in bed, though. Might be able to get one around. There's Frey. Gets the wall down, but they can't make up their mind who they want to go for. Frey misses the bonk. Sybil now just might be able to walk his way out from here. The shard's going down. Can
oh my
Frey
god,
get
he's
him?
alive.
I think Sybil might be able to walk his way out. No! Takes a shard to the face, but there is Fantix to give Chippies an escape avenue.
But amidst all of the confusion and the mechanical misplays, Chippies gets out alive. So it was a 1-for-1 as an end result to that. A lot used by Frey to get to the top side of the map. Really unfortunate for the Hellions again, because the Direwolves should be getting traded on. But the net result is that they are consistently creeping more and more into the lead until it may become too far for Hellions to come back from.
As we see down in the bot lane, of course, Luna and Bomb getting some last hits. It is that Infernal Dragon available. Good ward coverage, of course, from Direwolves, kind of getting all those entry points. Only a few of them starting to time out now. They've got the advantages. The jungler currently sitting on 1 kill, 2 deaths, and 3 assists. Got himself that completed item, but it might be Hellions. Throw the glove down.
Yeah, so Sybil just got back from base, and he has got his trackers now, so he can actually place a ward inside the Dragon Pit. You would expect it.
There it is. Bomb's quite low in mana as well.
Does he want to go for
and
the
a Sheen
steal?
at the moment. Sybil puts down the barrel. Not going to happen. Those Impaired smites that one away. That's not how many dragons they have. Should be just getting that Infernal one. Looks like Sybil, though, making his way up. Does get spotted by the Tremor Sense. Just going to drop a nice deep ward. As poor Frey feeling the pressure. As you can see how far back he's forced to sit. With no vision on Sybil and Fantix. Just being impressive and nice block by Regret.
Yeah, Regret keeps the wave alive, so they'll be doing a lot more damage to this turret now. Direwolves individually are definitely excelling, something that we expected to see, but it is always nice to actually see it. Fantix keeping Frey down as Impaired's here.
Gets the knockup, bonks him back into the tower. The shards are there, dashes over the mines. That's not going to help. Might be able to get his way, but the smite comes down from the gods and kills him. Up in the top, though, Chippy's answers with one of his own.
Yeah, Chippy's now 3-0-1. The problem in that middle lane is bottom lane's now fighting as well.
Oh, Bomb takes a big chunk of damage here. The stun not going to connect. Regret and Raze trade very well, though.
Yeah, they end up effectively winning that trade simply because Raze has more health bar available. The Relic Shield, be able to put some heals down for Regret. Direwolves actually come out ahead, albeit by a small amount, but it creeps further and further, and that's what we've said. Every single time they fight, except for that middle lane trade, which was well done by Impaired, the Direwolves seem to just be getting across that line.
You heard the desk Impaired, he has to play flawless here, so he's going to be trying a good job to do that. The ultimate hits Bomb, might be in trouble. 4 members strong at Direwolves in this bot lane. Chippy's times it with the ulti, comes in, takes out Bomb. Sybil takes that one away, but now it's all focused onto Luna. Can he do anything? Return one onto Sybil, maybe. He's low. Here comes the Talia. Flashes over, he's got nowhere to go, though. Gets hit by the mines, but Direwolves get the tower for their troubles.
That is the most awkward flash, Sybil. You've just put yourself in a Kodak moment.
Oh, classic.
That's unfortunate. No, Helion's answer again. They've got Frey nearby. There's no Fantix to respond this time as he's mid. Does mean there'll be a lot of pressure to the mid lane turret, but Helion's have already answered that on the top side. They're still starting to keep themselves in this game. It's only 1,000 the difference between them. That's at 14 minutes. Can't complain.
Impaired makes the most of his positioning, helps get that top tower down, then ults back to the mid to ensure Fantix can't take that one for free. That gives Frey enough time to surf on back. Sure that tower still stands now. Rai going for a cheeky little invade here. Takes away the blue for his troubles. Can Impaired go for the cheeky smite? Get the wolves down. Regret making his way up.
They actually can collapse on Impaired.
He might be in trouble. Winter's Bite hits. Here comes Fantix, gets the long tunnel over the wall. Very nice.
Yeah, so gets out all right. Impaired will live to see another day. They take the blue buff. They take the wolves. They secure some more of the map. Hellions are playing a little bit better when it comes to League of Legends right now. For a last place team to be able to stay within reaching distance of the better teams is always a positive sign.
Oh, well, Bomb's in reaching distance, but Chippy's now just gets smashed into the wall and obliterated. Chippy's is on fire. 4-0-2. He had a red buff. Poor Bomb had no chance.
Welcome to the Chippies show. Honestly, the bottom lane, we know that Raze has got a lot of power to carry. So does Fantix. So does Chippies, and that's really where the Direwolves seem to shine. They can all go off, and this time it seems to be Chippy's turn.
I see a fight break out in the top lane. Raze actually quite squishy for a gangplank. Here comes Raze, gets the attacks, needs 2 more Impaired. We'll go for the knockup, but there is Luna giving him the shield he needs to stay alive a little bit longer. Cannon Barrage not available just yet. Can't seem to chain the barrels together either.
No, not at that level 13 points. So Ryu struggling. Sybil also has his ulti, so hanging around this top lane means that Ryu has to show some respect, but he'll be fine. Everyone seems to live to see another day, as now the mid laners are just going to hit each other.
Frey trying to go in onto Fantix. Might find him a flash, ignite the heal. Comes through, might be enough to keep him alive. There's the Cannon Barrage, cleans that one up. Rai nets himself that, but of course, all that time Chippies was just having his way with that bottom tower. Bomb finally there to catch some of the minions, but Chippy still ominously lurking in the fog of war.
Yeah, Thunderlord's proc from Ryu, it seems like, was enough to get it over the line. The ignite stops the heal from doing a whole lot from Fantix, and Hellions are consistently fighting in this game. Every single thing that the Direwolves try and take from them is being contested, but the discrepancy in farm between AD carries is starting to creep up further and further. The mid lane has still got that CS differential, and top lane has a 4-0-2 Gnar running rampant on Summoner's Rift. They are fighting. They are within touching distance of a victory. They have to go through the biggest team ever.
Looks like it might be another Infernal Drake ticking down here. Remember, Hellions did get the first one, so Direwolves might make that a priority to ensure proper denial of resources. Regret just tanking up, gets bonked back in the tower. Might be in trouble here, very low. There comes the Weaver's Wall. They've split the team well. Regret pops the ultimate bomb over the wall, doesn't hit the Q. One more auto attack should do it. Impaired locks that one up. Now Direwolves in full retreat.
Yeah, really good ulti from Frey actually to block the rest of the team off to ensure that it was just Sybil and Regret Regret with no summoners, no spells even to dash to his team. And so he goes down for it. Once again, Frey actually looking really good.
The seismic shards have been on point all game long, constantly catching someone out of position, allowing his team to catch up and do well. Got himself that Morellonomicon, as well as the needlessly large rod. And of course, Fantix has finished that Nash's Tooth, so not going for the Morello's Zerkagri build here.
Yeah.
Different build path, a little bit more standard.
Yeah, much more standard. But we are starting to see the Berserkers Morellos creep more and more up into standardized form. It generally would just depend who you're against as well. You don't have to deny healing from too many members of the opposite team. It's like if you're against a Vladimir or something like a Swain and you need to have a Morellos on your team, then yeah, it's always a worthwhile investment.
Second Infernal Dragon is live. Hellions are in position to fight for it. Whether or not they want to is a different question. Whether or not they should is a different question, because it's very clear that they want to. Good job by Regret to deny it some of the vision, but Direwolves, based on their positioning, it seems clear that they want to get this out of mid-turret.
Yeah, so they're postured towards the Infernal Drake, and Chippies is actually on the top side of the map where it's going to take a lot to deal with him. So they can actually threaten the top inner whilst posturing around the second Infernal that Hellions will want.
Sybil gets himself out of danger range for now. Luna just going to try and de-ward as much as he can. Not going to spot that one off in the pit, though.
Look at
Uses the scanner quite late. Yeah, Chippies, he's just being an absolute menace right now. And a couple more attacks on this tower should do it impaired. Backs off as Luna tells him to go in, and now unburrowed Rek'Sai, not quite a threatening sight to behold.
Gragas actually quite low after the trade that happens in the middle lane. Should actually give Hellions the opportunity to work on this Infernal Drake. The Gragas could stay around, use his passive, but he took so much damage that if they force it immediately, he would have had to contest with no health to his name. Now the Hellions pull the trigger. This is a 16% buff if they lock this down.
Remember, Chippies is in Mega and is just about to run up, so if he teleports in, he won't have that available for quite some time. Frey off in the wings, trying to do damage down impaired. Smites that one away as Direwolves choose to give it up.
Yeah, big mistake on Sybil taking all of that damage. They don't even break the middle lane turret, so Hellions get a second Drake, a second Infernal Drake at that. And surely this will be enough to help them scale and keep up with what the Direwolves can offer. But we've said that plenty of times already.
Oh, that seismic shard wasn't as good as the rest, Brian. You know it.
It was minions. It's okay.
He'll make up for it with some great plays. Doing a lot of damage. You saw just onto Sybil before how much he can dish out in a single combo. Landing themselves that second dragon. But of course, in the meantime, there was Chippies up in the top just being a nuisance. I don't think there's anyone alone on Hellions, even as a duo, that can really deal with him at this stage.
Na's a big deal. I mean, they've still even got the Azir now starting to ramp up. His damage is there for wave clear. He hasn't recalled in quite a while. So that should be getting well and truly towards his big spikes, as well as that Talia. The build that he's gone for is not as efficient as the Death Cap because he wants survivability and a little bit more kiting.
Makes sense.
But it's still a very strong spike now. Frey is going to be able to put in work.
Sybil has that Dead Man's Plate, so a little bit more movement speed. Should he choose to engage here impaired? Sees two members with the Tremor Sense, but it is just going to be Regret and Sybil denying vision. Getting wards down where they can. Working as a two-man unit, these two have done a great job so far of ensuring that Hellions map stays dark. Sybil once again takes away the Raptor camp.
Taking what they can, but what they can take is now starting to be limited. These Direwolves are still in control. The relative control that they have is far less than you would expect at 21 minutes into this game. This is second against 8.
Oh, look at the damage onto Bomb. Gets in for about half his health. Fantix goes impaired. Goes in onto Fantix, chunks in, but takes a lot in respect for that one. So Fantix just really corralling the members of Hellions around this mid. Dashes out as Frey. Very, very fast with that Karma shield as well as his own movement speed buffs.
Yeah, so having that passive and standing near the wall gives Frey a lot. Bomb doesn't have lifesteal, and they're coming in here, Direwolves.
Here comes Sybil. Bomb, he's going to get taken down immediately. Still very low impaired. The first to fall. Ignite ticking him down. Frey just trying to do what he can to keep his team safe. Luna, he's going to go down. There is a nice double kill, and now Frey, no hope of getting away from that one as Direwolves pick up 4 for 0.
And Frey wishing he was the Azir at that point because his ulti does not provide a thing. Direwolves, when they're engaging, actually look a lot better than if they're sitting back and watching the Hellions poke them out. That's exactly what they get done here. The Nara only hitting one person didn't matter. Sybil's engage was strong enough that they get over the line, and Ryu honestly had no impact in that last fight. They're looking so strong behind Chippies.
Just getting themselves those 2 mid lane towers, pushing the minions up also. The Direwolves well and truly in control of this game, getting themselves further and further ahead. No other objectives other than the towers to take for them. But just looking at Chippies, currently 5-0-4 really tells the tale of this match so far. This Nah proving to be a very smart pickup tonight.
You know what's great is, you know how Swiper calls himself Big Swips?
Yeah.
Big Chippies is like Big Chips.
That's pretty clever.
I'm never going to call him that because I feel like it'd just be an embarrassing nickname. But I just wanted everyone to know that you could call him that.
If you should choose and want to embarrass yourself in front of Chippies, feel free
Big
to shout out
Chips.
Big Chips, is it?
Yeah, it's something like that. Thanks, Swiper.
Good stuff here though, but like you said, Direwolves, they look so good when they're engaging off the back of Sybil. Was able to just completely displace the entire Hellions team, and when communication's not one of their strong suits, getting them on the run and frantic really helps out the Direwolves' cause. Sybil and Regret just gets scared away, allows Bomb to pick himself up that red buff. But he's very, very far behind his counterpart right now. Ray's 2-0-3, nearly hitting that 3-item spike. Bomb still stacking up his Muramana.
Yeah, still scaling, still trying to get to a point of power, definitely struggling in the AD carry position. Frey looks good, but good's not enough when your AD carry who has swapped roles is also struggling. Sybil, the kind of invade that he just did, is actually the move that gets you killed if you throw back to yesterday's games between Avant and Tainted Minds. More often than not, when Shelby was invading, he was dying for it. Sybil was flirting with danger, but at this point in the game, he does have a team nearby, because Raze and Regret look towards the top lane inner turret, where it seems to just be that Talia at the moment, holding it down.
All 4 members of Direwolves, of course Chippy's in the bot lane pushing, are up top. Looking to get some damage down on this tower, really just threaten the Baron. Sybil making Impaired and Luna think twice about face-checking anything, but that's the benefit of Rek'Sai. The Tremor Sensors allow you to have that peace of mind when movements going through. Right, all he can do is hold at this stage.
Yeah, but that's all Ryu really needs to do. I know he's a dueling champion and he's going for the Ghostblade build, which is expected. Has a chunk of armor penetration, has got his cooldown reduction. Regret just really wanted to use his R-key because they're probably doing Baron right now.
Forces a flash out of Frey. Baron
Yeah, there you go.
goes down, and will he pick up ulti coming through for Gangplank? Might pick up someone. Not going to happen though, as Impaired went for the steal. Doesn't get it. Chippy didn't even have to teleport, just made his way down. Lose the Baron, lose a kill. Any hope of winning this game is slowly getting lost as well.
Yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle as if it wasn't already. A lot of it has been reflected through the top lane, but the AD carry had that big lead. He actually has a Hurricane on Nah right now because that's just what you do when you're Chippies. You're 5-0-4.
He's so damn strong as well as picking up that Spectre's Cal there. He is respecting the damage from Frey just a little bit, but he really wants to be that auto attack carry here. Try to get some of those boomerangs out.
Your passive wouldn't work on
Yeah,
everybody.
it's the same as Vayne's, right? Or can you hit multiple targets with it apply?
Would it?
Oh, well, we'll have to find out eventually, but we are going to find out the respawn timer as Rai as he goes down. It's 50 seconds, in case you were wondering.
Yeah, 26 minutes into the game. He's still a reasonably high level, so that cooldown goes up. Chippy's looking really aggressive towards Impaired.
Gets the hyper. Chilling Smite goes down. Keeps him at bay. Here is Frey. Not going to get the seismic shot as Chippy just jumps over the wall and kind of seeing the holes in Hellion's plan right now.
Yeah, the Hurricane unfortunately doesn't help him there. Maybe a Blade of the Ruined King would have been better if he wanted to go the attack speed route. But nonetheless, Direwolves are able to siege this middle lane, bottom lane, and top lane at the exact same time, working around this Baron buff that they've got. In fact, this turret is getting chunked out really quickly.
Simultaneously pressuring all lanes at once are the Direwolves. They get that bot lane inhibitor tower down, and Hellions are forced to watch in sadness as their inhibitor falls. Here comes Sybil, just gets the bonk onto Bomb. Forced to walk away from that one. How do Direwolves want to get out here? All using their fancy schmancy dashes. A nice seismic shard. There's the engage coming from Hellions. Can they get anything out of this? Regret might be in trouble, but there is the Azir Tower to keep them safe.
Whoa, that's a lot of damage.
Oh, Frey, the heal comes out. Fantix definitely has kill pressure on pretty much every single person on Hellions right now. Chippy's in the top. Doesn't look like the Runar's Hurricane does apply his passive hyper.
Impaired's a bit busy.
Yeah.
Direwolves right now hiding under a turret that's about to fall. Hellions are near their base, so they have healing.
Here Flash is coming out Impaired. He's in retreat. Chippies has made his way down, but he's in Mega, so that will time out soon. Can't get the wall over the wall. Bomb here. Not doing a lot of damage, unfortunately, for them.
Good coordination as Impaired dies.
He gets taken out. Tower falls down. So Direwolves looking to get themselves this mid lane inhibitor, and I don't think Hellions can really do anything about it. Ulti gets spell shield away. Chippies is here just returning so much damage. Sybil being the front line that his team needs. He's getting quite low though. But you can't fight under your tower. You shouldn't fight under the inhibitor. Doesn't provide anything.
Yeah. Chippies is actually just monstering them right now. He's actually just bodying everybody. The amount of damage that he does, the amount of tankiness that he actually has, the presence that is there, commands Hellions away from the inhibitor. And that's now the second to fall of 3. The Dial was pretty much set up with all of the tools that they could possibly need now to end this game.
They're not even looking, not even setting their sights to the Air Dragon. They really just want to go in for the win. Everyone moving up to that top lane of the last remaining bastion of hope for the Hellions. The top lane inhibitor turret. Let's see how long it takes poor Direwolves to really crack that one open.
It would actually be inefficient to go for the Cloud Drake before ending the game. Because it like takes you 10 seconds to kill and it gets you there 1 second quicker. It's not really worth it.
Oh, Impaired. He wants his red buff, but it may have cost him more. He's taken quite low. Luna giving him the speed up. Sybil comes through. Impaired gets taken down, but now Sybil, a lot of return damage on, but he's the tank, so he can heal it back up, especially as the Gragas. Frey has the ultimate available. We see some fancy things coming through with the Weaver's Wall.
Sybil really didn't need to ult there, but he threw it anyway, and that means that they're missing one of their engage tools. But they can play this game slow now that Impaired is dead. Just do damage, work around the bottom and mid lane minions that are pushing into the base of the Hellions now, and start pushing this wave in.
Impaired up in 15 seconds, but it's not going to matter. But a turret falls inhibitor. Shortly after, that's 3 inhibs down for the Hellions. Direwolves just brute forcing their way into the base on the back of Chippies. Look how strong he is. A massive wallop and a massive kill for Raze. Looks like this is the end of Hellions in game number 1 as Direwolves in a very, very, very convincing fashion. Just going to be padding their stats a little bit here, showing the Hellions that they mean business tonight, Rusty.
They definitely do. So they find themselves 1 game up against the Hellions. It is second against last, and 2 Infernal Drakes still not enough to get them across the line in this first game. What will it take for the Hellions?
Maybe chucking Bomb back in the mid lane? Who knows?
It's an idea.
Yeah, well, I liked how well Frey did, but Bomb kind of didn't sell me on that Ezreal. He just fell further and further behind, but that's enough for us. We're going to send it back to the desk to break down game number 1.
Thank you, Rogie and Rusty. We see the favourites come out on top in game 1. Frosco, Raz, we knew they were going to win, but talk about those win conditions. Did it play out the way you thought?
Yeah, so we talked about how the Direwolves, they have the utility that they can win pretty much through any of their really strong carries. So you have a great AD carry in Raze, fantastic mid laner, former Perfection in Fantix, as well as the Chippies. But I'm going to actually pull up a replay of the early game, and this is going to look really weird, but I'm going to walk you through it. Okay, so before we start this replay, thank you. Before we start the replay, I'm going to explain why, because I told my producer, I was like, I want the replay where Sybil comes in and he resets the lane. And my producer was like, I'm going to trust you. Okay. So this is why I'm pulling this up. What Sybil is doing right now is he's walking into the lane and he's just going to shove the wave in for Chippies. And he's there to add protection and make sure that he's able to reset the wave by getting it underneath the tower. Now, why this is important is because when you have the wave shoving in, you're going to force a teleport out of this gangplank. And because Gnar's wave is so far forward, Gnar is actually able to back and walk back to lane with without expending his TP. So simply Sybil walking into this lane gives Direwolves a TP advantage. Now what you'll notice is that Direwolves don't actually use the TP advantage. In fact, they just continue to gank the top lane, but I think it really illustrates this idea that at this point in the game, Direwolves have two options. They can either use their global advantage bottom. Because you have the TP advantage, it means that you immediately have a numbers advantage on the bottom side of the map, which means that Raze and Regret can automatically play super aggressive because Gangplank can't be there that Bretnar can. But they choose to instead focus their attention on the top side simply because they see that Gangplank has a global ultimate, so they don't want to try to gamble on the TP anyway. And it's this idea that even though we have this advantage, we know that we can just put our faith in chippies and we can continue bashing there. And this guy ends up 5-0 and what? Something ridiculous?
Yeah.
With a Black Cleaver Hurricane build and just styles all over them.
And it's the small details, right? You're correct. That's an incredible good focus to look at. And then ganking top, because of course they're going up against GP. That's like a big point. Like, I still think you go for that Plague bot lane, right?
Yeah.
Because, and you agree with that. Especially since you're going up against Ezreal Karma.
I still thought that the play over the red buff was the incorrect play, but because they actually traded 1-for-1. I'm like, you could actually just play this bottom, but still just the faith that they have in chippies and the faith that they have that they'll just outplay, that they're just stronger players, did lead them to carry through there.
Raz, talk a little bit about the compositions. Did we see a low CC comp from Hellions tonight?
Yeah, so the composition, it's a small bit because I do love the Talia pick. I love that they pulled it out, right? And then you see the Rek'Sai, the Karma. That makes it a little bit difficult, right? Because as the game goes on, it's a nice early push snowball composition, but you do not, like, once they get the advantage, and of course Hellions was pressing later on, they were actually very mobile. Great thing from Hellions. Great thing to look for. But they couldn't actually press their advantage and pick up anything because pretty low CC on that end.
I mean, effectively, globally right now, we have the Immortal Pobelter interview that was today on Reddit where Pobelter actually says his frustration having low CC compositions with Nidalee and Karma. And then if you actually look at, another, not domestic region for us, but the LPL, you have Mako in an interview saying that they don't like mage support simply because it's very hard to build compositions on them. There's a reason why globally Braum and Alistar are coming back, and it's having that hard CC and that ability to engage. Because for the middle part of this game, Hellions actually did a great job kind of mitigating their losses or taking chip damage, trading 1-1 or 2-1, like getting something out of it. But when they were actually strong in that mid lane and they looked to try to finally engage, there was nothing they can do. Like Raz said, they're effectively looking for a flash on Burrow, and that's about it. So if they ever were in the lead, there's no way to engage unless Talia hits the perfect ultimate.
Well, that is game 1 out of the way. Let us look to game 2, see if they can 2-0 this right now. Direwolves versus Hellions. Let's hand it back to Ruggy and Rusty.